The US says it has carried out a drone strike in Afghanistan, killing an ISIS attack planner. This comes as the death toll from the ISK twin blast at Kabul airport reached 170, including 13 US troops. As the US forces experienced the deadliest day in Afghanistan since 2011, President Joe Biden pledged the US will hunt down the perpetrators and make them pay. The airstrike the US conducted overnight in Nangarhar province, Central Command said no civilian was killed in that. Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby says the airport remains under the US Army, denying Taliban claims that they had taken over parts of the site. Now, Kirby said the US believes there are still specific, credible threats against the airport. The White House also said the next few days are likely to be the most dangerous of the US evacuation operation. The Pentagon said it has taken about 111,000 people out of Afghanistan in the past 2 weeks. A Western official says a swift passage will be provided to every foreigner to leave Afghanistan in the next 48 hours. Earlier, the US Embassy in Kabul warned Americans to avoid traveling to the airport due to security threats. Meanwhile, France has ended its evacuation effort, blaming the deteriorating security at the airport. Now, for more on this, we are joined by Arshad Yousafzai, a political analyst from Peshawar. Now, Mr. Yousafzai, thank you very much for joining us on Indus News. Now, Arshad, tell us, the US says it has carried out a drone strike in Afghanistan, killing an ISIS attack planner after the group claimed responsibility for the Kabul airport attack. Do you see further US strikes against the terrorist group in Afghanistan?
Yes, the drone strike indicates the seriousness of American troops, and especially after Joe Biden's statement that they are going to hunt the ISIS down. I believe they will carry out further attacks, and they have the intelligence and have the technology to do so. I also expect that the two enemies, the United States and the Taliban, might be sharing information in future, and US having the technology, they might provide this information, valuable information against ISIS-K to Taliban, who can then further carry out attacks or action against ISIS in Khorasan, in Nuristan, Kunard, and Jalalabad, Nangarhar.
All right. Now, Mr. Yousafzai, we know that now more than 5,000 Americans are yet to be evacuated from Afghanistan. Now, with the August 31st evacuation deadline, do you think the United States could complete its mission, or there's a possibility of an extension?
I think the U.S. is trying its best to complete the evacuation by the deadline. Despite the attacks on the airport, they haven't stopped evacuation. In fact, Pakistan was expecting 3,000 newcomers from Afghanistan yesterday. They hadn't arrived until late afternoon. But the U.S. seems serious, and they are trying to finish it as soon as possible. If, however, they were not able to do so, they might request the Taliban for an extension, but the Taliban have clearly said that they are not going to allow extension because they see it as delaying tactics. They have been claiming that, until now we know that 111,000 people have been evacuated, and the Taliban are worrying or wondering how many more are left there. The 5,000 could be evacuated in one day. But if the Taliban were convinced that it was a serious or genuine request and there was need, they might allow extension.
Right. Arshad, now the Taliban say their forces in Kabul airport are ready to take over, while the Pentagon says Taliban are not in control of any part of the military section of the airport. So can the Taliban take over the airport before the deadline?
I don't think so. Although we heard conflicting reports last evening, in fact, the Taliban shared some footage of their soldiers going into the airport in the military section, which was later denied by the Pentagon. I believe the Taliban will wait for the deadline, and they wouldn't try taking over any part of the airport because that would be breaking their promises or not keeping their word. So they will wait out.
Right. Let's just hope for the best now. Arshad Yousafzai, thank you very much for talking to Indus News.